All right. Hello, world. Tonight's featured reader is Shawn Aveningo Sanders. Shawn's newest book, Pockets, from MoonPath Press, was a finalist in Concrete Wolf's Chapbook contest. Over 250 of her poems have appeared in journals such as Cloudbank, CALYX, Cho, Contemporary, Haibun Online, Timberline Review, Willawaw, and others. A multiple Pushcart Prize and Best of the Nat nominee. She shares the creative life with her husband here in Oregon, where they run the Poetry Box Press. Here is Shawn Aveningo Sanders.
All right. Let me get all my notes out.
Here, we have a phantom table.
A phantom table. Fantastic. You just never know when dry mouth might strike. This doesn't want to. Here we go. Put these up. Okay. Hi. Thank you, Mark, for inviting me to read tonight. How many years have you kept this series going?
Since 2016.
So, wow, that's great, because I mean, every week, that is fantastic. It's a lot of work, and a lot of work to keep something like that going. So, congratulations to you for that. And how great that the Salem Art Association provides this beautiful space where we get to share poetry today. I love it. I love reading poems surrounded by art, so this is really lovely. Anyway, tonight I'm going to be reading mostly from my new book, Pockets, which just came out a few months ago from MoonPath Press. And it's kind of an eclectic collection, but the one thread that holds all the poems together is that each poem has a pocket. And I thought I'd start with a poem that I wrote many years ago when I was trying to figure out basically what this whole poetry thing was all about. And maybe some of you have had a similar experience. In from out of the cold. My pen has a case of the dry heaves, writhing over a blank page, all retch, no vomit, not even a couplet to catapult me into writing a bad poem. I often wonder what makes a good poet. Do they don monogrammed shirts with hidden pockets full of verse? Do they wear prescription lenses, tinted in such a way that life is always viewed as a metaphor? Maybe it takes the right name, followed by initials of academic achievement. I search for the answer at a local open mic, where a man reads his poem to the crowd, his voice cracking, his hands trembling, his notebook twitching at a fit of nerves. I switch my focus to the audience, full of emerging writings, awaiting their turn, shuffling through their papers, oblivious to the man's words, worried about how much time he's taking. I decide in that moment I will no longer write to impress. Instead, I want to be the poet who moves the stranger in the back of the room who just came in for a cup of coffee and to get in from out of the cold. So one of the many things I love about writing poetry is how you start writing about one thing and the poem ends up being about something completely different. So this next poem started after a trip to the dentist. Ghost. I tongue the crater in the cavern of my mouth, where wisdom had once arrived unremarkably. They, the only 4 teeth that managed to erupt straight and upright, My soldiers on guard, standing at attention, ready to show the rest of those crooked, now corrected gnashers how it's supposed to be done. But now, one of them has fallen victim to a silent enemy, and thus had to be carried off the field. I fold the gauze like a funeral flag, pack it with ends tucked in, ready to absorb what's left of absence, ready to clinch in grief. How it seems the pain will never cease, and I'm left here with this hole that is taking too long to heal, to fill in. Grief is a bruise whose colors fade slowly, a cut that bleeds unnoticed, a sunflower seed caught in the pocket between your gums, then loosed and rinsed down the drain, a memory. And as we get older, we reminisce about all those things we miss. And I don't know, one of the things I miss is back when the kids were home and still in school. I loved all the conversation-filled carpools and field trips and even shopping for school supplies. But, you know, things are different today, and I did not have the same worries that parents do today. Pocket protectors. Where can I buy a pocket protector? No, not the ones the nerds wear. Not a safeguard against ink stains or pencil-poked holes. I am looking for a tiny talisman, one that will protect a child from the schoolyard bully, or could give a boost of courage to a young woman crossing the picket line at Planned Parenthood, that has the power to silence the rage, shield her from the insults thrown from those who know nothing about her circumstance. Or perhaps a magical token that would turn cerulean when it's safe to trust the helpers, amber when it's prudent to be peaceful, purple when it's time to hightail it and run like a gazelle. Do you know if there's such a protector? Perhaps one that I could sew into each pocket of my child's clothing. One that's strong enough to stop a bullet. I think we could probably all agree that life's pretty crazy right now. And sometimes what we need is just a little comfort food to help get you through the day. Comfort found in a bowl. Fetal pinkies and toesies poke and prod my belly, pregnant with a twin dose of sugar and spice. My little boy tugs the torn pocket of my apron, his saucer eyes aglow, eager to taste his first bowl of cream of wheat. I stir Farina into a pot of hot milk and timely back to a red Formica countertop kitchen in a humble bungalow in a Mayberry-like town, where Nanny is cooking breakfast for Popo and me. I liked mine thick with butter and mounds of sugar and cinnamon. Popo liked his runny as soup, each slurp soaking his gray whiskers, me all a giggle. When an unkind world becomes too much, I reach for this comfort found in a bowl. Like the summer, Dad got the diagnosis, cancer, again, after his 30-year hiatus from the wretched disease. Losing his second kidney brought dialysis and worry, his two new constant companions. To live, Dad had to give up, sweet tea in the summertime, late night runs for frozen custard, a cold bud at a Cardinals game, forbidden the simplest of pleasures, peanut butter, pizza, chocolate, potato salad. His nurse hands me the list of acceptable foods. My fingers scan, land on cream of wheat, my old friend cream of wheat. I cook a bowl for my dad. He liked it with cinnamon too. I find that food often takes center stage in some of my poems. And I don't know, every spring, my husband and I often have a little disagreement about how many tomato plants we can fit in our garden. Spoiler alert, he's usually right. Who am I to say we don't need more tomatoes, or to argue the plot too small for one more heirloom? When I gorge on too many black crims, I become my grandmother, the one who hid her Russian roots from the neighbors, from me. I fry the bacon you brought home for sandwiches. Grease splatter singes my thumb. I watch you through a window over the sink, cool water soothing my burn. As you push your finger deep into the soil and whisper to the not quite right orbs, "There now, you're just a little thirsty," and begin to hum them happy before you come inside to show off your bounty, flashing me your satisfied smile. I inhale the musky loam of you and take your finger into my mouth. I taste the summer sun, and your salt. And of course, that poem leads to this poem, which is actually the broadside that I gave all of you. Shape of your mouth. Sometimes when I hear your voice, I imagine the shape of your mouth. As you form the words, each syllable, the crispness of consonants, mellow vowels oozing between. I remember the shape of your mouth, sharing heirloom tomatoes over the sink, juice dribbling down our chins, me reaching across to wipe yours with my fingertips, you catching mine with your tongue, salt of flesh pairing with the ripe fruit. I remember the shape of your mouth as you leaned across for our first kiss, lips adjusting for the fit, space between tightening, tiny pocket of air we shared. Yes, I remember the shape of your mouth and the taste of that last kiss before they rolled you away for surgery. How I traced that shape over and over and over atop my own mouth, waiting until you came back to me. And he did come back to me. And we both realized we needed to make some changes for our health. Labels. Have you ever noticed the women who linger in the canned food aisle? How they stand there in their comfortable shoes, wearing a modest shade of pink lipstick to perk up an exhausted smile, scrutinizing and scanning each label, cans of cream corn, stewed tomatoes, garbanzo beans, and soup. Is it the calories? Allergies? Price? After weeks in the ICU, he is finally coming home. I pore over every prescription protocol, key in each doctor's number into my phone, make copies of his patient implant card to tuck into my wallet. I buy one of those easy-to-read neon pill caddies so he never misses a dose from that armada of pills fighting for his failing heart. I scan a list from my pocket. How long have I been standing here holding this can, reading this label? I get it now. What it means to join the sorority of salt seekers, our faithful mission, rooting out sodium dangers at every possible turn. I understand these tedious, loving acts and the monumental task to save the hearts that beat in unison with our own. And we'll do anything to save the ones we love. This next poem is about donating a kidney to my dad. It starts with an epigraph. Fully aware that there is no adequate answer, we offer a tattered, inadequate little bouquet of language. George Bulgaire, Poetry Town. 2 years. When they learn he lived for 2 years after the transplant, they ask me the same 2 questions. Was it worth it? Do you have any regrets? And every time I am gobsmacked. Such audacity slaps me like February wind whipping the Mississippi under the old Eads Bridge. And then I see the innocent curiosity in their eyes. How could they know? About that day we spent at Butterfly House, Dad's first summer sporting my kidney like a new pair of Bermuda shorts. How when he tried on the silly caterpillar cap, I giggled like a 4-year-old little girl. Or the home run taste of Budweiser at our last Cardinal game when Holiday rounded third. How when confessing his mistakes, he found forgiveness in my eyes and could finally drop the stone he carried in his heart pocket. Or how success of the operation isn't measured by mere years, rather by grains of sand, each one adding to the castle a girl built with her dad. How the low tide of his passing could never wash that away. An old man walks into the room, with him the scent of my father's aftershave. And because sometimes you just need to hang on to hope. Hope waits its turn. Like the number I pulled out from the Take Your Turn dispenser at the DMV, hope waits inside my pocket, taking a seat with me in a green plastic chair, understanding there are other emotions ahead of it, each with their own urgency. Anxiety likes to hover near the counter, staring at the red flickering number on the wall, while logic pretends to be in control, recalculating time as the now serving number grows. But hope watches as the integers glow, notices how light shifts ever so slightly through each changing digit, and how 0 radiates out from its inner hole. The way hope shows up when we open up, asking one another, how can I help you today? So, this government shutdown, and this looming end to snap on Saturday. One beautiful thing that has emerged from this situation is all the local businesses that are feeding people that need to eat. There's a place in Portland called Heretic Coffee. You may have seen it on Instagram. And they just said, if you're hungry, just come in and ask for the snap breakfast. No questions asked. And somebody suggested that they, have a donation link. And so they did that, thinking maybe they'd get a couple $100. And they got $86,000 in just a few days. And donations spilled in from all over the world. And they weren't big donations. They were tiny donations. One of them, I think he said, was like $1.17. So people that didn't have much, that were just giving what they had to help somebody else. And I just think that's so beautiful. And I think that's a good reminder for all of us that no matter who we are, how much power we have, how much money we have or not, there are ways that we can make a small difference in someone else's life, even if it's just offering a smile. So I thought I'd close with one more poem from my book. Beautiful strangers in the before times. How could the baby understand, bouncing along in his stroller, how his giggling blue eyes and babbling coo momentarily warmed the lonely stone I carried in my chest pocket? How could the brunette barista have a clue that extra dollop of whipped cream atop my mocha tickled my nose for just an instant, reminding me I can still laugh? And the hungry man in baggy clothes sitting on the corner curb who offered me a sip from his sacred bottle. Did he know how his kindness stirred me from my sleepwalk of life? So many beautiful strangers, silhouetted souls that brush against us on the street for a split-second chance to connect, no matter how brief, how innocuous, how seemingly unwanted. We see them every day, doppelgangers, these other versions of ourselves. Do these beautiful strangers have any idea the power they possess? How they can jolt us back to life if we let them? So, thank you so much, everyone, for listening to my poems tonight. I did bring my books. I have pockets, of course, and then I have another book that's called What She Was Wearing, and just so nobody misunderstands what that book is about, it's about that question you ask a rape victim, what was she wearing? So it's kind of my Me Too story told through poems. And I also brought, because of the Poetry Box used to publish, for 10 years we did the Poeming Pigeon. And so we had some extra copies of our last year's issue, so I brought some of those at a steep discount. So anyway, in the meantime, I hope all of you need bigger pockets to hold an absolute abundance of joy. Thank you.
Thank you, Shawn. Wasn't that terrific? That was wonderful. So, we're going to take a break. Shawn's got her books in the back there. We've got 2 lists back there. One's for the open mic and one's for the mailing list. So sign off on whichever one you want to. Eat the cookies or drink the wine, and we'll come back afterwards and do an open mic.